David Moore, Dallas
Good
Morning
afternoon,
News.
David.
Good afternoon. I'll open with the obligatory left tackle question.
Okay.
Have you determined how you will proceed filling that position in the wake of Tyron's?
I mean, contrary to how we normally operate, I'd like to defer on our starting lineup. So, but Tyler will definitely get a lot of work at left tackle.
Quick follow-up. This is a competitive situation as far as going into the regular season, what you will do there.
Competitive?
Well, at left tackle, I mean, is there still some things to work through?
Well, I just think the biggest thing is, and frankly, I talked to the whole team about it. I mean, this is really your first time to shift gears, first time to do carded periods, just because the way we went through the preseason, we haven't operated on an in-season format at all. So the point I'm making is the reps are so critical. And so today was more about cleaning up some of our self-scout, just making sure we were on top of conceptually what we've been working on in camp. But we also, I think it was obvious we spent a bunch of time on Tampa too. So with that being said, I think it's important to be very detailed on where these reps go.
Clarence Hill, for Star Telegram. We've talked, since middle of August about continuity and chemistry in the offensive line. You want to get your starter set. How does this impact all of that?
Well, it seems like you go down this format most years. It's and I think it's part of being a draft and develop program. I'm just going back through my career. I don't remember too many times where, week 2 or after the second preseason game or the third preseason game, you say, okay, this is it. I think just part of being young and injuries and all those things sometimes keep you from getting to that quicker than you need to be.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. With a young guy, what's the challenge when you've had him at one position, just trying to get him in the lineup and then moving him back? It is his natural position, but kind of switching him back pretty close to the start of the season.
Well, I think like anything, I mean, he's worked the left side exclusively since he's been here. He's his reps in the spring were 60-40 left tackle to guard, and then obviously played a lot more guard. But if you watch the individual drills and all that, I mean, the footwork training has been in place for both positions. So we from the day he was drafted here, we were going to work him exclusively on the left side.
Mike Epstein with USA Today. Beyond what you do specifically for Tyler, whoever's playing at left tackle, how do you need to rethink a game plan or make adjustments for the rest of an offense when you go from a Pro Bowl to a rookie at a position that's so important?
Well, I mean, it's part of the game. I think, the run game, you're always looking at the matchups and, your run blocking unit versus their defensive front. So that, that part won't change as far as how you lay things out. Schematically, playing them last year and the aggressiveness that they played us with, particularly to, the number of defenders in the box, so you factor that in. Pass protection, I mean, you look at, how do you think they're going to line to your protection unit? And, you have help protections, in your base planning. So that's part of it, how much you use versus, how much you use today versus how much you used last year. We'll see how that goes. I mean, that's why you game plan. That's why you practice, and ultimately that's how you play the game.
Todd Archer of the ESPN. Jordan Lewis, didn't see him out there practice. What's his status?
He's doing very well. So I mean, the goal was for him to be with Britt today and tomorrow, and the goal is to hopefully get him out there Monday. I mean, he was individual today, so frankly, I mean, there may be a chance that he may get a little more tomorrow, but he's doing really well. I mean, they've been extremely positive about his rehab.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Gallup, how's he looking this week?
Looks excellent. He's getting close. He's hit every target. His rehab's going very smooth. So we're just staying on the plan. And but yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to. He's still working with Britt and the rehab group.
And Danucci no longer in the building. You've got quarterbacks on practice squad. Can you take us through what went through your decision on the initial 53 lineup in terms of quarterback and overall?
Well, I'll just say this purely from my perspective. I've always felt, and this is the way I've always done it, and there's a discipline in it. I will not count the numbers till after the second preseason game. I think if you're truly trying to draft and develop and let these young guys get their opportunity, you can get fooled or pushed one way, one direction or the other. Especially, you go back to look at how the Denver game went. So I think you got to really watch making early decisions or opinions as far as how the 53 goes. I think clearly, which is the way it's laid out, our defensive numbers were extremely high, and that's a credit to, number one, I think our personnel department did an outstanding job with our 90-man roster. It was extremely competitive all the way through the off-season program, clearly throughout training camp. But the point I'm trying to make is, you want to keep the guys that earned to be on the 53, and we clearly had more than 53, and that was the challenge. That was the back and forth on, what's the best way, to risk assess how we can keep as many of our guys as we can. In fact, we were able to keep 71 players in the building today. I was extremely happy. I mean, when that practice squad group came back and we were able to get those guys back. I mean, because to me, this is what it's about. We've all been together since April. We knew we were going to be young, and and so we wanted our guys, and so the fact that we were able to get all these guys back, I think, is very, very beneficial to us. It speaks to our program, our culture, but the defensive guys, you have to, it's the numbers are what they are because these defensive guys earned it, and I'm very comfortable, with that. I've done this before, so being out of balance, and then obviously you balance it up with your practice squad, and very thankful for the 16 practice squad members that, take my hat off to the league and the union on that, because I think this is the way it should be.
I think when you look at the initial composition, it's 29 of the 53
Correct.
are entering their third season or less. Does that just again reinforce your commitment to draft and develop? And is that a number you kind of target to when you look at roster composition going forward?
I mean, my history has been, usually 22% of your football team is rookies, and actually I used the comparable today, and I don't like to do this, but I went back and showed the roster of the Super Bowl championship that I was part of, and there was 10 rookies that were on the 46-man roster that day. 4 of them were draft picks. They started. There was 4 rookie free agents that started, and there was 2 other rookie free agents that were dressed but, didn't have active starting roles. So, and the point I was making is we have 17 rookies that are part of our group today, and the fact of the matter is you're going to be playing in big games, and there's a high probability you're going to be probably playing in the most important games when it comes down to it. So just the urgency and just the understanding, and I love this locker room. I think the way the veterans and the young guys, you can see their connection was strong early. The respect of the rookie class for the veterans, and the veterans really, appreciative and have done a really good job as far as mentoring and pulling this, because at the end of the day, it's how fast can you close the gap between your older players and your younger players. I think that's always been a huge important factor of developing a winning championship football team.
Along those lines, how do you say to yourself, I have to be patient with these young guys because they're going to be mistakes in big games where I'm going to need them to step up for me?
I mean, look at me. I'm patient, right? I'm the most patient-looking guy that's ever stood up here. So, tongue in cheek, but no, that's draft and develop. I mean, that's really what it is. But at the end of the day, it's about winning games now. We haven't won a game yet, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Our home opener is versus an outstanding football team that's might be the oldest and most experienced team in the league. So, it all doesn't matter. It's where we are, but what I like about it is you look at the amount of growth that, our potential in front of us, and it's just, we have to just stay the course day by day and keep working to be better, and this is a great group to do it with.
Is your backup quarterback spot settled, or still a competition between Cooper and Greer?
No, Cooper will be he'll be our number 2, and I think when you get out of here, you'll see how that all lines up. So you guys have been off Twitter for a couple of minutes. Well, you haven't. You don't ever quit. Yeah.
He's on it right now.
Never off. You get back
Yeah,
down.
Mike Jonas with WFAA. How comfortable are you with the depth on the offensive line? Is there thought about looking to bring somebody else in? I know you still only have 11 days though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, once again, the player acquisition component of it never stops. We're at 71 players. You're counting one NFI and 2 IR returns. So, the fact of the matter, there's 2 other players that are not here yet. So, we should have 73 by Monday. So, that's part of it. But once again, I've always focused on the guys that are here, and we have a good mix of veteran experience and leadership, and obviously have a number of young guys we like.
Back row.
Hi, Mike Miranda, Sports Illustrated. After preseason game 1, we talked a lot about penalties. And now it's,
You guys talked a lot about those.
now it's been almost a month later. How are you feeling about everything heading into regular season?
As far as penalties, I think the biggest thing is, in the game of football, you're always keeping track of the things that are going well and the things that are not going well, and that's an everyday focus. That's part of my focus in the team meetings with the players. And I think it's like anything in life, you try to find as many different ways to emphasize the things you do well to continue to build off of, but the things that are not going so well. So, we have a pretty detailed penalty report that's done on a daily basis. Every time we line up. So, and we break them down into discipline penalties, pre-snap penalties, conduct penalties, competitive penalties, and it just gives us an opportunity just really to highlight the do's and don'ts, but it just gives us a nice format to continue to keep coaching the technique and the fundamentals and all those things. So I trust our process. I think if you look over the history of my head coaching career, it's worked for the most part based off, what I know the numbers are okay. I don't know what they are, but I'm confident they're pretty good. So and I believe in our process, but there's 2 parts to this. You have to get your team to play to a certain play style. And all coaches have a method and a formula to get it that way. And our group plays the right way. So we're definitely across the line that I'm looking to play across. But with that comes more discipline. So we just got to continue to work on it.
Michael.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. What has Noah Brown done, really since the time you've been here, but this offseason as well, to earn your trust for the opportunity that is ahead of him?
When I think of Noah Brown, I think of toughness and consistency. He's our personal protector on the punt team. What else can I say about him as a football player? He's cashed in on every opportunity. As far as his wide receiver chances last year, I think he's had an excellent camp. He really lightened up during the off season, and I think that's very smart. You see that normally as players get a little older. So I thought he. I think that helped him. I thought he had an excellent offseason. I think he had an excellent training camp. But he's just so consistent. Knows the same guy every day, same guy in the meetings. His toughness and consistency, I think, are his 2 biggest attributes.
Back on Tyler Smith,
Yeah.
first round picks, the expectation always seems to be week 1 starters. I was wondering how you've seen him progress from when you first got around him after the draft to now.
Well, I'll say Tyler, just from the first time I'd had a chance to sit down and talk to him and his mother and his brother. He's his personality and disposition are very consistent. I mean, he's extremely confident, not cocky. Has an alpha personality. I love that about him. Obviously we recognize the physical talent. You could see that on the college tape, but. That's held true. He's a very powerful young man and has extremely bright future. He just needs to continue to work at the little things. I'm very confident the future's bright in front of him. We just got some work to do.
That wrap it up? Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Caffeine.